Welcome to Bioscience class. Assalamu alaikum dear students. Today we are going to study one more subtopic of control and coordination, that's plant movements. Plant movements are of two types. One is growth movement and second is growth independent movement. Thus we can say plants exhibit two types of movements: growth dependent movements and non-growth dependent movements. Growth dependent movements, they are also called tropic movements, and these tropic movements, they are towards or away from a stimulus. This means they are towards or away from change in environment. And non-growth dependent movements, they are called nastic movements, and they are independent of stimulus. Thus जो nastic movements है, they do not depend on direction of stimulus. Now let us first discuss tropic movements. Tropic movement, we can say these tropic movements are also known as tropism, and we can say जो tropic movements है, it is a growth movement of a plant part in response to external stimulus, in which direction of stimulus determines the direction of response. Thus we can say tropism is a directional movement, and it of a part of plant that's caused by its growth. And जो tropism है, if growth of a plant is towards stimulus, then it is passed to tropism, and if growth of a plant is away from the stimulus, then it is negative tropism. Tropic movements, these can be classified into 5 types. They are phototropism, geotropism, hydrotropism, chemotropism, thigmotropism. In phototropism, stimulus is light, and in geotropism, stimulus is gravity. Hydrotropism, stimulus is water, and in chemotropism, stimulus are chemicals, and in thigmotropism, stimulus is touch. Now, what is phototropism? It is a movement of plant in response to light. This means in phototropism, it is a movement of plant in response to light. And this plant part, if it moves towards the light, then it is called phototropism, positive phototropism. And if the plant moves away from the light, then it is called negative phototropism. The stem of a plant, or we can say shoot of a plant, that grows towards the light, and or we can say the shoot of a plant that exhibits this characteristic, that exhibits this phototropism. Thus we can say जो shoot of plant है, that is positive phototrophic, and we can say जो root of a plant है, that bends towards the soil, and we can say roots of the plant, they are negative phototrophic. Second is geotropism. Geotropism में क्या होता है, जो स्टूमले होता है, that is gravity. Thus we can say जो response of a plant part in response to gravity, response of a plant to gravity, that is geotropism. If the plant part moves in direction of gravity, thus we can say if any part of plant that moves towards the gravity, then it is passed to geotropic. As we all of know कि जो roots of a plant है, they bends towards the soil for absorbing water and minerals. Thus we can say जो root of a plant है, that always moves in the direction of earth's gravity. Thus we can say roots of plant, they are passed to geotrophic. On the other hand, जो stem होता है या shoot of plant होता है, that moves against the direction of gravity. Thus shoot of a plant that shows negative geotropism. Third is hydrotropism. Hydrotropism में जो होता है, जो stimuli होता है, that is water. And जो response of a, thus we can say in hydrotropism, the response of a plant part to water, that is hydrotropism. And if a plant part moves towards the water, then it is passed to hydrotropic. कौन सा part होता है plant का जो move करता है towards water, that is root. Because roots of the plant, they always go towards water, so we can say roots of plant, they are passed to hydrotropic. Fourth is chemotropism. What's chemotropism? It is a movement of plant part in response to chemicals. Thus, it is a movement of plant part in response to chemicals. Here, stimulus is chemical, and we can say इसमें हम example दे सकते हैं. If a plant part shows movement towards the chemical, that it is passed through chemotropic, and on the other hand, if a plant part shows movement away from the chemicals, then it is negative chemotropic. Thus, we can say here we can give an example of pollen tube. When a pollen tube during fertilization of a flower, as जो flowering plants they show sexual reproduction, and we can see when pollen tube when it grows towards the ovule during the process of fertilization in a flower, that we can say it is chemotropism. It is an example of chemotropism. Thus we can say जो pollen tube है that grows towards the sugary substance, that sugary substance that is a chemical which is secreted by the ripe stigma of the carpel in the flower. Thus this is chemotropism. Fifth is thigmotropism. What is thigmotropism? Thigmotropism जो है, it is a directional movement of plant in response to touch. Here the stimulus is touch, and when the plant shows movement towards the touch, then it is called thigmotropism. इसमें हम एग्जाम्पल दे सकते हैं. जो क्लाइंबिंग पार्ट्स ऑफ द प्लांट्स होते हैं विच आर नोन एज सच एज टेंड्रल्स, they always grow towards the support which they happen to touch. This means तो जो टेंड्रल जो क्लाइंबर्स होते हैं वो always क्या करते हैं, move towards the support which they happen to touch. Here touch is stimulus, and growing a plant around that touch, that is movement, and that movement is known as thigmotropism. Got it? Second is nastic movement. Nastic movement जो होते हैं they are growth independent movements. Nastic movements we can say जो nastic movements in plants है वो होते हैं non directional movements. They are not dependent on stimulus and they are growth independent. Thus we can say जो movement of a plant part in response to external stimulus, in which direction of response is not determined by the direction of stimulus, that is known as nastic movement. For example, we can say the folding up of leaves of a sensitive plant. Touch me not, आपने सुना होगा. When we fold up the leaves of a sensitive plant, they fold. This means they fold up immediately when we touch them. Thus, it is not the direction in which we touch them they will fold. They fold when we touch them in any direction. ठीक है. या फॉर एग्जाम्पल वी कैन से द ओपनिंग अप ऑफ पेटल्स ऑफ डेंड्रेलियन फ्लावर. मॉर्निंग ग्लोरी जो है फ्लावर है, दे ओपन इन ब्राइट लाइट एंड दे क्लोज इन द इवनिंग व्हेन लाइट फेड्स. दिस इज आल्सो एन एग्जांपल ऑफ नास्टिक मूवमेंट. The difference between tropic movement and nastic movement, we can say जो tropic movement it is directional movement of plant part, and जो nastic movement it is non-directional movement of plant part which with respect to the stimulus. Nastic movements are further of different types. First is seismonastic. Seismonastic movements क्या होती है? These movements are brought by mechanical stimuli such as contact with foreign body, fast wind and raindrops. This means seismonastic movement हम वो nastic it is that nastic movement जब कोई mechanical stimuli आए, चाहे जैसे fast wind या rain. उस जब रेन होती है या उससे हम देखते हैं कि जो प्लांट है it shows a change, and this change that is known as nastic movement. The second is photonastic movement. In these photonastic movement में हम क्या बोल सकते हैं कि जो photonastic movement है इसमें जो है stimulus होता है light, and these movements are induced by fluctuations in the intensity of light. जैसे मैंने आपको अभी बोला जो dandelion flower है, morning glory flower है, that opens its leaves that opens in bright light and close in evening when light fades. Third is thermonastic movement. These movements are brought by changes in temperature. This means there is another movement which is brought about by change in temperature, that is known as thermonastic movement. And fourth is निक्टिनास्टिक मूवमेंट में होता है जो these movements they are they are induced by alternation of day and light. जैसे हमने अभी आपको एग्जांपल दी, जो मून फ्लावर है that opens in the that closes its petals in morning in bright light and opens at dark when the light fades. This means this is an example of nictinastic movement. This is all about this plant movements. Thus you can remember your plant movement. There are two types: tropic movements and nastic movements. Thank you.